we're not here to dictate, we're here to be supportive. And so what we do need to do is understand what people are after and provide options for them.
When we talk to homeowners who want to start their build process, they don't quite know what's important. Therefore, we recommend they come to talk to people in Superhome movement, because we can then guide them through the journey of designing.
Sometimes I feel like people don't even know what they want, and it's a bit up to me to dig and to figure out exactly what they mean, because quite often they will use some vocabulary that are not necessarily what they mean. And a typical example is someone who comes to me and then he went on a Superhome tour and he's like, oh, underfloor heating, I want underfloor heating. And then they show me the design and there's like carpet everywhere. And I'm like, okay, that's not gonna work. You can't put like insulation onto your heating device. So if you want underfloor heating, you'll have to have like polished concrete, or maybe 50% of your floor area. And then people starting to think, and they're like, oh, but no, I really want carpet. I'm like, okay, so maybe underfloor heating is not necessarily what you want. What you mean is you want central heating. You want heating everywhere, distributed evenly. And here there is a lot of options you can choose where you can have carpet. And then so it's just about, understanding what's the meaning behind the word, and then making sure we actually speaking the same language. It's quite an interesting part of the job.
And I can tell you, with every single meeting I have with prospective clients, their demands are so different. There can be health issues, there can be communication issues, there can be issues with having a private spot, a spot to retreat, to read a book, being away from the children, but then also, finding a common place in the house where everyone can come together and enjoy family life. So all these aspects need to be combined.
Each client is different. All clients have their unique quirks. They all comes in different shapes and sizes, different budgets.
I'm an architect myself, and quite often I found out that homeowners spend less time designing and thinking about the layout of their house than their time they will spend on choosing a new car and the specs for the new car. And quite often I try to emphasize on that, because this is very important. Half of your life is going to be spent at home. You're going to be sleeping, eating, whatever, but you spend a big section of your life at home. So it's very important to make sure the house you design for yourself is fit for you and is set up yourself for a better future. And quite often we'll look at materials, we'll look at the layout, but there is how we work through architecture, how we practice architecture, how do we the usage of the house is kind of very important. For me, for example, the kitchen is the heart of the house, and everything has to flow around, and this is where I spend most of my time. And quite often I will not be cooking. I'll read the newspaper, I'll put my computer on things, and just work there on, whatever. But it's very important. So I think it's it's crucial to have that strong discussion about how do you want to live in this house. Forget about how you used to or what you used to, what do you want to have now? And something that has freed my mind, for example, is in some of the simple spaces, but just having light on sensors. You don't think about turning the switch on or off when you go to bed or when you go to the loo, or just these simple little things that will make your life way easier.
different sites, you know, different orientation, different wishes, what needs to be covered by the house. Yeah, we just had a really good conversation about what this initial design idea was from the first house on the design tour, and then how we developed that into a new home.
Consultation will start with a little chat with the homeowners, and basically what's going to happen is I hear about their story, and if there is any concerns or topics they want to talk about, I'm going to make a list about it. After that, we talk about, I'm going to have a look at the plans and look at the orientation and the layout, make some general comments there. After that, we talk about the thermal envelope of the building. And after that, we talk about the services and how the building is going to function. The type of people that usually comes to me are very broad. Like I see from like someone who is renting a house to a $10 million house being built. So the range is kind of extreme. I have people who are very specialized and they want to be bang for buck, and they're looking for being eco-friendly. Some people, they're more focused on good design and good detailing. Some people, they don't want any formaldehyde in all the building construction, so we're looking at very organic materials.
In New Zealand, because of our nice big low population density, wide open spaces, we just think, you know, I come from Taranaki. A lot of my clients are retired dairy farmers. They've come from 200 hectares. They want a big house in town. I'm like, it's just you and Mrs. Farmer. You need about 100 square meters and we'll give you a big shed, mate. We'll give you a big shed. But they want 400 square meters and somebody's got to clean it. Somebody's got to heat it. It's crazy. So I think that's a real area of education, just a real area of conversation. And understanding what people's needs. You know, one of the conversations I've always had with clients is this house for you or for the next person? And sometimes you get a funny look. And I said, what I mean by that is, are you planning to flick this in 3 years and play the property game? So that's cool. I says, that's a different set of rules to if you plan that to be here for 7 to 10 years. Because if you're going to be here 7 to 10 years, I'd be encouraging you to invest in yourselves, not necessarily for the next person. And so that conversation can sometimes allow us to make better choices.
The certification guide from Superhome Movement is a really important little document, and it just gives us something to target. It means that we've thought about all of the fundamental principles of what goes into building better, higher quality homes. We seem to have this idea that our building code is going to keep us warm at night. And the reality is that that doesn't actually happen. And even if it does keep us warm, it's not going to keep us healthy, that's for sure. So so the certification guide, base, better, best, has been put together to make sure that each principle has been looked at and then decided on depending on the specific need of that person, of the budget of that person, and ultimately of the design of the home.
Some people are on board with it, some people aren't. But I find once you educate the client and explain things, especially about making sure your house is more insulated, making sure it's airtight, making sure you have a really great ventilation system. Once they actually understand those principles, they're a lot more on board.
So part of the innovation that we've been involved with is we've recognised that there's a lot of complexity out there when people start talking about energy efficiency, and we've come up with a new brochure that we've done our best to simplify it, and rather than talking about cold data, we're looking at the feeling of a house, and whether it be that you want it to be warm, whether that you want light, whether it's that you want to have less sound coming in. And then I'll just go for the simplest thing that I see, and that's the danger is rapidly change for energy efficient homes the same way, where people get overwhelmed and it becomes onerous to them, and it even becomes maybe a bit threatening to them. And what do? They go back to what they know, which is, again, they think, okay, they talk themselves into that the minimum building standard might be the right thing for them, which we all know it isn't. They just want to know, am I going to be warm? Am I going to be comfortable? Is it going to save me money in energy bills? And yeah, that's what we want people to do.
One of the principles of a super home is also modelling and managing hot and cold. So the comfort level of the home is the crucial factor here. It's easy to heat a home up by whatever means, or to retain the heat. It's another thing to control it and to get rid of the heat when it's over hot. And so a super home is designed around what is your natural shading, which way your sun, how the sun impacts on the rooms, what areas of the home are shaded, what areas are likely to overheat. So all of this is designed ahead of time as part of the super home design.
Probably isn't the younger people so much. It's probably more the 30 to 50s. But, going back to what I said about before, is that some people are moving into their forever homes. And those are the people who want to say, right, let's invest in our future and let's make sure our operational costs are sorted.
The other thing is the aesthetics, proportions, the relation to the environment, your neighborhood, that all that really fits in. And a very, very big point for me is, and hopefully for my clients as well, is actually who lives in that house in the future. What is the lifestyle of my clients? What are their needs?
You're always going to get different types of people. By way of example, I went and saw someone a couple of days ago, and I said, we can help you with solar. And I talked a bit about the product, but he was actually less interested in the product. He just wanted to get solar. And said, yep, let's do it. Right then and there, let's do it. And but then you get other people who want to go into every last detail about it, which is fine, and that's great. But our job is to make sure that we educate people when they want to be educated, just help them on that journey.